Hi everybody, Farmer Luke here.
Hi everybody, Farmer Clive.
And we're here standing in the field of my winter barley.
Now this field of winter barley was drilled at the end of September. Can't quite remember the date, but there's an old saying, as you can see it's out in here, and the saying is that it takes 8 weeks from ear to shearing. So I'm saying the date that we're going to combine this, because it's been out in here a little while, is round about the 25th, 26th of July. It's the first crop that we cut.
Right, I'm going to put that in my diary then, that's when we're actually going to cut this. Right, so should we see how it got from seed to when we're going to cut it on the 25th of July? So this is the main piece of equipment we use to get barley land ready. This is a Greg 1 Besson Discodon. It's got discs and it's got a set of tines that break the bottom of the subsoil in aiding drainage for when it rains. And it's got a big roller at the back to push all the soil down to consolidate the moisture if it dries out. This is the main thing we use to get the barley land ready. We're into minimum tillage, so we're only moving the top part of the soil. A thing to notice as well, this is actually in transport mode, so this is all folded up ready to go on the road. These will come down about 3.5 metres that we work. This is the main thing what we use to get barley land ready. So we drill it early in, well, late September, early October time, so it tends to be dry, so we don't need to worry about wet weather. So once the field's been cultivated, we then go over it with the drill, which is very similar again to the wheat. Farmer Clive?
Yeah. All it does, the discs at the front, just move the soil slightly, very shallowly, and the coulters on here, I've got a disc in them, so that moves it as well to when we're drilling place to seed. Very quick, we can go about 10 or 12k, so we can get over a bit of acreages when the weather's right.
But we tend to use this more for the barley because the barley, as we once discussed again, is drilled slightly earlier than the wheat. So this is the main, hopefully, barley drill.
So on the barley, needs feeding, and what we use is what we call a fertilizer spreader, pretty simple, a hopper to put fertilizer in, and it flows out the bottom onto the discs.
We use a man-made substance to keep the crop looking nice and healthy through the year, which actually is a granular form that looks like tiny balls of polystyrene, which are thrown out 24 metres by these discs. Now we have a control box in the cab where we can vary the rate of what the crop needs at that particular moment in time to make sure it's nice and healthy all the way through to harvest. To keep the crop healthy through the year as well as fertiliser, we have to use crop protection products.
And the thing what we've used to put that on is a sprayer. And in this sprayer we put herbicides and fungicides, which is the products, mainly the products what we use.
The sprayer is tested every year, similar to an MOT on your car, to make sure it meets the standard and it works correctly. Inside the cab we have a control box where we can vary the product we're using, whether it be a herbicide to keep weed control down or else a fungicide to keep disease out the crop. We don't put the chemicals on ourselves per se or decide what chemicals we're to use. We have a qualified guy who comes in, he's called an agronomist, or he's known in the industry as a crop doctor. He prescribes what product we're going to use at that moment in time. He's fully up to date with all his qualifications to make sure the products are legal and they can be used on that crop.
We have to keep the records of what he gives us and record the date and time of when we sprayed, even the wind conditions and the weather conditions generally, because we're audited, and that makes sure that we're always crop assured.
So that means we've got traceability of the crop, of what products we use, so you can trace it right the way back to when the finished product, right the way back to the start when it's a seed and everything in between.
I keep buying British food and I get to drive the sprayer.
So when the winter barley is ready to harvest, we use one of these, a combine harvester. Now the barley is the first crop that normally goes through the combine in a few weeks' time in late July. Farmer Clive?
Yeah, we're fortunate that we've got a very large combine. As you can see, it's on tracks. The header, don't know if it's in the film, but that's 35 foot or 10.5 metres wide. So this combine will cut the barley at about 50 tonne an hour. Right, as you see, we got to this point in the cropping. We're now, I'm just going to show you about the crop itself, which is, if you look, it's got what we call an open ear. So these sort of things here, this is the grain themselves, where wheat has a we call it chaff round it to protect it a bit, where barley's an open seeded crop.
Now we aim to get nearly 9 tonnes a hectare of barley. Now a hectare is just under 2 football fields. To put that into real terms, this field we're standing in, we should get 35,000 bottles of beer, or if your tip was whiskey, 17,000 litres. Obviously, please drink responsibly. Now, I hope you all enjoyed that video and found it informative and entertaining. Look out the other videos on today. So, one last thing to say is goodbye from me.
And barley is actually in Maltesers, so if you don't like alcohol, eat sweets. Bye from Clive.
Right, which one do you want?